Attorney Johnny McCoy, a friend of Myrtle Beach SC News and a reliable source, has video evidence that totally discredits Horry County Government's arrest of Alexandra Anna Bialusau. The following video was provided online. Question: where does Miss Bialusau go to get her good name back?
As a civil rights and criminal defense attorney in the Deep South, I represent people all the time that are charged with crimes where the government is exaggerating or flat out lying on the warrants, in the media, to the public. And today's case that I'm going to tell you about is no different. Today I have the privilege and honor of telling you that I'm representing Alexandra Bialusau. Alexandra is being charged with quote unquote sparking the Carolina forest wildfires that took place over several days in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Horrific tragedy where over 2,000 acres were burned. Firefighters and first responders were working on this thing well into almost a week of fighting this thing. At the same time, there were about 12 fires burning around the state of South Carolina and in Georgia. And what's interesting about that is it seems that Alexandra at this point is the only person charged with quote unquote lighting or igniting one of these fires. When I first saw the case, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they would single out a single mother of 2 kids unless it was something egregious. And then when you look at the warrants, it says, no, we're not charging her with violating the burn ban, which I'll talk about in a second. We are charging her with negligence and carelessness in allowing the fire to spread to other people's properties. That's what the warrants say. And you can see the warrants here, or at least the media covering the warrants. It says exactly that Alexandra allowed these fires to negligently and carelessly spread to other people's property out of her fire pit. And they say that she was negligent and careless because, and here it is in the warrants, that she didn't have a water source readily available or she didn't have gardening tools nearby to help control the fire. And here we go. That's the only accusations that they made. And wouldn't you know that both of them are lies? This story has spread internationally about this young mother's arrest. It's simply not true. Now I'm going to show you a video taken during the fire at the very beginning, and then I'm going to show you some other evidence that was collected as well from witnesses on the scene. Here is a video of Alexandra using a hose, using her long hose that was right there within 15 feet of the fire pit the entire time. Here she is fighting the fire on her own. On the ground, you can see a blue hose. I believe that's the fire department's hose. And here's the hose next to the house. Again, readily available. In the very beginning of this thing, there wasn't a whole lot of urgency. It didn't seem, as you can tell from these videos and photos, it didn't seem like this was a huge, massive fire that just blew up from her fire pit and lit all the trees on fire like the media wanted you to believe. This did not look like it was going to get out of control, but the weather and natural causes, most people call them acts of God, picked up some sort of debris, either from neighboring fires or her fire pit, and casted it off into the middle of the woods. We still haven't figured out where this thing originated from. But after they've lied about 2 circumstances and 2 pieces of evidence, that she didn't have a hose and she didn't have gardening tools, anything's open for debate at this point. Obviously, she had a water hose readily available, so that part's thrown out. Now, what about the gardening tools? I have a fire pit. I don't have gardening tools nearby, but guess what? She did. Here's a close-up of the fire pit. You can tell that it's made out of stone. It's a permanent fixture. There's concrete all around it to ensure that, the area around the fire pit is safe from, little debris coming out of it. And here you can see that she had fire pit tools. There's a shovel, there's a broom, there's a fire pit poker. So they lied about her not having gardening tools. They lied about her not having a water hose, and they lied about her not having gardening tools. Why? That's why I get hired, is when you start to see that they're scapegoating somebody. A young mother who, by the way, somebody told the media where she works, and it was printed in the media that she's a healthcare worker. They named the hospital she works at. This lady's face and these accusations have been spread all over America. This was on Fox News. This was on CNN, USA Today, all local media coverage. Now I'm going to get to the media coverage of this. The media took it upon themselves, along with the multiple authorities. We're talking about governors and elected officials all around the area chimed in, and every single one of them mentions that South Carolina was under a burn ban during the time when she lit this fire. Now, all the comments that are on social media say over and over again, what the heck was she doing burning a fire pit in her backyard during a burn ban? Why didn't she just call the South Carolina Forestry Commission and find out whether or not there was a burn ban in effect? I called the South Carolina Forestry Commission because I wanted to know why she wasn't charged with violating the burn ban. And guess what? She was in compliance of the burn ban. Here it is again, exceptions to the burn ban. Burn bans are for open burning. They're not for private or commercially graded fire pits. Again, which she had. Here is the exact wording of the exemption. That means that if you fall under this, you can burn even during a burn ban. This is during May 17, 2021. Governor Henry McMaster signed this bill into law that states the regulation of fires by the state forester does not apply. Burn bans do not apply to fires used for the preparation of food or fires used in appropriate enclosures. And they name appropriate enclosures: portable outdoor fireplaces, which this was not; chimneys, which this was not; or permanent fire pits constructed of stone, masonry, metal, or other non-combustible materials. Here it is again. There's her fire pit. A permanent fire pit constructed of stone and masonry. And the ground is constructed of stone and masonry. Here are multiple accounts of authorities, elected officials, and the media outright sharing the status of a burn ban being in effect. Not straight up accusing her directly of violating the burn ban, but literally saying that somebody in violation of a burn ban will be held criminally liable. Several of authority figures mentioned the burn ban, and several articles mentioned the burn ban only to make her look worse. Not because she was violating the burn ban. They only added it in there so that the public would assume there's no way they would mention this unless she was violating it. And they just gloss over the fact that she wasn't charged with it, nor over the fact that there was an exemption that she fit under, that all homes around the state of South Carolina fit under, that have permanent fire pits in their backyard. Now listen, I understand that there was a lot of effort, there was a lot of state money put into this to fight these fires. Thank goodness that nobody lost, significant amounts of private property or their homes. But again, if they are going to these lengths to outright lie about the water hose, the only claims that they made, water hose and no gardening tools, they lied about both of them. And then they put the burn ban comments in every article. South Carolina in general is just widely known for corruption and cover-ups, but they're scapegoating this poor lady. I'm asking for your thoughts on this. Who could they be covering up for? Who could they be saying, no, don't look over here, look at that? And it's scary because there's already talks going around about what this land is going to be used for. There's already talks going around of why wasn't there urgency on the part of the authorities at the beginning of this fire. Witnesses say that the authorities and the people on the ground, when this thing first happened, when they first got to the scene, were acting with zero urgency for not just minutes, but hours, while this thing continued to grow and grow and grow, and she's back there fighting it with her hose. Why lie? Why scapegoat this single mother of two healthcare worker and just absolutely obliterate her in the media? There are real consequences when the government lies, and they always hope that it'll just get either worked out in a shadow or that nobody will ever know. They're just counting on all of us to say, don't want to touch that. Everybody's upset at this lady. I can't do that. This is somebody's mom and sister and significant other. This is a human being. Look, I am all for accountability, always, on all sides. Just don't lie. You don't have to lie. And that's what we're seeing here, is multiple lies and exaggerations and manipulation of the narrative and of the media. They are trying to control the way that you feel about this woman. I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. I have more videos to share about similar situations, similar clients. Again, same area of the country. We'll talk to you soon.